lot of people watching us from every part of the world, and we thank God for His intervention in the lives of people, and what God has been able to use this show and this time out to do on many platforms to be able to heal, educate, empower, inspire, and bring parity back to the lives of a lot of people. There's been a lot of testimonies. There's been a lot of impact, and it's been more than a joy. Because like I said, this program is uh, is this program is a time with God, and it's a time of impact, and it's a time of healing, and it's a time of resurrection. Anytime will come on the air. And that's why I don't joke with it, because this is my service to God. This is my gift to God. This is my worship, and it's a form of worship, I must have to say, to God Almighty. On the show today, we'll continue with our series of vestiges of a failing nation and a nation breaking apart. And we're going to talk about some things that happened, and we're going to take some interviews today. And it is incumbent on us to understand that if we do not do the work at upholding a nation will go through a cycle that will create chaos for the generations yet to come. So we need to go through that work, the work of upholding values, virtues, and a society that believes in impacts. Like I said, in a country where people deny the evils that go on, then you have a country that is hovering around the vestiges of a failing nation. In a country where we spent last couple of weeks, the government spent last couple of weeks trying to deny the fact that there was Christian genocide of some sorts. But in the space of how many days, you saw the attacks on a Christian school. You saw the attacks also for people that are predominantly Muslims in Kebbi. You also saw the conversation about a great level of complicity because a village head in Kebbi came out to say that, and listen to this, that why was it that 2 hours after the military, about 30 minutes after the military left, the criminals could come operate for about 2 hours. And that's the society we have built. A society that leaves a lot of questions about complicity. So as people celebrate Thanksgiving in America and other parts of the world, the question we should ask is, what are we thankful for in our own part of the world? Because Thanksgiving is this week. But what are we thankful for? Is it thankful for complicity? Is it thankful for the fact that political actors that are supposed to bring solutions to the killings have not been able to bring solutions to killing? Is it thankful for the hurt and the injustices that have been caused? Because see, the current president in 2014, reading Simon Kolawoli's article today, the current president did say, and I quote, that President Jonathan should resign if he can't fix the problem, that the government was lying. But the question needs to be asked, is it not the same propaganda and lies and ineptitudes we are seeing today? Is that not the vestiges of a failing nation? Is that not the vestiges of a nation in decline? Is that not part of the vestiges of a nation in retrogression? These are the things, and that's why I say, you see, this Sunday morning show is my commune with God. And I take it very strongly. The vestige of a failing nation is not part of the case of somebody was trying to be killed by bandit Sunday Jackson. He defended himself. He's been sentenced. His advocacy for him going on. It's part of the vestige of a failing nation, not a proper criminal, bandits, terrorists, killed people, was given 20 years in prison. Another person that incited violence was given life imprisonment. You see, it will be on record that we did call for justice amid a failing nation and a failing society. And in a failing nation and a failing society, we should never forget that Christ indeed can be the anchor. And if we do not speak up, evil will continue. 327 now people taken away in Niger, including teachers. At first, it was so quick to skew the propaganda that they were not up to 50. It was when Khan came up and spoke up, they were over 200, 300. That's when we got the number. Some are being favored for some. Complicity, the killings. Why can't we stop the complicity? The other day, President Wole Soyinka was saying, oh, President Trump saying, I said President Wole Soyinka, Professor Wole Soyinka was saying that President Trump saying he's going to come into a nation, guns are blazing. Is that not a madman? But is it not madness that over 300 people are kidnapped in the nation? Is it not madness that thousands of people are getting killed by the day? Is it not madness that we're always seeing pictures of bloodshed? And Nigeria has become sort of like a Gaza. I think people like Professor Wole Soyinka that protested against Jonathan, President Jonathan, should speak about the level of madness. And that's what we should speak about. I've got Frank Otto joining me from the early hours of America. He's been in the middle of all of this. He's a victim. And as we speak today, his family is in an IDP camp. And please, Frank, I don't know if you have the number already, the account number, so that my listeners from every part of the world and all the platforms can send something to IDP camps in Benue, in Makurdi. I hear there's one around the international market. To be able to present this show, I literally had to work with Frank all through the night. So I'd literally not slept. I'm supposed to be taking my rest on holiday, but I cannot take rest and holiday when people are dying. So I still have to present this radio show from any part of the world I am in. And I had to hear Frank's story. We spoke up through the early hours. He too has not gotten enough sleep. But Frank was present in Yelewata I mean, he knew about the Yelewata incident and what is really happening. So Frank will give us a mapping of what is going on and regards to insecurity. Frank worked in Otom's government, and Frank would tell us a lot of things today. But at first, Frank, like we normally do, last 2 weeks on this show, or a couple of weeks thereabout, we raised aid for the Durumi IDP camp. We did that in partnership with Icon of Hope, where we gave some things to the Durumi IDP camp and also addressed the people. So please, can you give us the account number of people in the IDP camp so we can reach out to them? Frank, can you hear me?
Very well.
Yes. So can you give us the account number of people in IDP camp so we can post it so we can raise arms for them?
Okay, you mean people that becomes from Yelewata strictly, or the
Yelewata strictly, and even if it's other parts around Benue, let's get everything. Let's put it on.
Okay, generally, Benue has about 1.4 million people in the IDP camp, but from Yelewata, the people currently in the IDP camp from Yelewata are about 3,600.
Okay.
Yeah, including my direct relatives.
So they're about 3,600.
Yes.
Okay, including your direct relatives.
Of course.
Okay. Okay, so is there an account number that we can call, how we can help these people and send something to them? It's not anything much, maybe money just for their, day-to-day runnings.
Yeah, I'll get the account number for you in the next couple of minutes.
Okay.
I've asked the Yelewata youth leader to send it to me.
Okay,
I'm
so we
still
can
waiting.
call it out in the middle of this show. So
Okay.
where did all of this start from? I want a proper historical context because I've also gone to study about it. They said it dates back to pre-colonial times. The thieves and people of Fulani extraction, back and forth, the fights. And they said some argue that the killings, have been very crazy. And Yelewata borders around Nasarawa and some other areas. So tell me the historical existence.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me. Firstly, now this problem can be looked at multiple directions. It is multidimensional. Initially, it started as like farmers' headers crisis. You know, that was in those days. For the past 15 years, it actually never farmer headers crisis. But before the past 12 years precisely, it used to be somehow like farmers headers crisis. When uh, expansion started happening, growth started happening, and there was no more, you know, farmlands left for the headers to occupy. So everybody cared for their farms. And when the headers bust out from nowhere and start coming into people's farms, it causes friction. That was what used to happen in like before 12 years. But starting from 12 years, precisely from 2014 to now, it wasn't farmers at that crisis because we've been dealing with armed headsmen who have turned into terrorists, who come without heads, without anything, with the sole mission of destroying our villages and obliterating the people. And as I speak to you, there are hundreds of tea villages occupied by these people. Even within Yelewata. Yelewata, one of our grace and our luck is the fact that Yelewata is placed on the federal highway, directly on the federal highway. So if starting from 3 kilometers away from Yelewata into the hinterland, into the bush, are thief settlements that are currently occupied by these terrorists. Occupied with no single head. With no single care to occupy it. They brought their families. You see young Fulani kids crawling in the compound of a thief, man, crawling. They are using the stream. They are using their kitchen, their granary, and then in a thief settlement, there's always this what we call ATER, ATER. That is the a structure, a temporary structure erected for rest. In every thief compound, a temporary structure erected in like mostly in the middle of the compound where they'll put just sticks and then a roof with a thatched roof for resting. So many of them have been broken down in those thief homes and have been converted to a mosque where they place just some few bricks of stones, to demarcate a boundary for a mosque. So that is what's been happening. So in the past 12 years, it hasn't been a case of farmer health crisis, but a case of total genocide and total occupation of the land.
So it's been a case of total genocide of the land. Genocide against who?
Very good. Our genocide fall on two fronts. Genocide of ethnicity and genocide of religion. So just in line with the 1948 Convention, United Nations Convention on the Punishment and Prevention of the Crime of Genocide, like in Article 2, where it said it's a mass attack that is done with the intent to obliterate in whole or in part, to destroy in whole or in part a group because of their race, because of their ethnicity, and because of their religion. So that has always been what's been happening. Like every time they come with that motive of they are being spurred by religious motive. So, but incidentally, they happen to be majorly people of one ethnic group. So you could attach the ethnicity to it and then the religion to it. Because when they come, they begin to yell a slogan that unfortunately, I'm saying unfortunately because in its Arabic meaning, it means God is great, Allah Akbar. But unfortunately, it has become infamously known and notoriously known as the global slogan for jihadists all over the world, So they begin to yell Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, and be killing non-stop, slaughtering, in short, killing in the most gruesome, the most horrific way. These are the same people that, when you give them a piece of meat to eat, they will say it's haram because according to them, it wasn't slaughtered in a merciful way, sort of. So for them to eat a meat from you, it has to be halal, a meat that they slaughter in a merciful way and pray over it before slaughtering. But unfortunately, they don't apply that to our people. They come killing kids, using machetes and then striking you from the head, busting your brains. You will see brains peeling out, cutting you into pieces. And so it's quite unfortunate, but that's the reality of what we've been living in the last 12 years. What made Yelewata very pronounced this year was because of the number of people killed within 4 hours. And so it went into the record books as the highest number of casualty ever collected in the first 6 months of 2025 anywhere in the world. It never happened even in the war between Israel and Iran. It never happened in the war between Israel and Houthis. It never happened in the war between Israel and Hamas, or even between Russia and Ukraine, that over 278 people were killed within 4 hours.
Were all the people that were killed in Yelewata, over 200, were they Christians? Because Tuga, the minister of Foreign Affairs, says that just 177 people have been killed this year. What do you say to Tuga? Also, the governor of Benue State said there is no genocide. What do you say to the governor? And let's talk about the killings. So you said there are two forms of genocide. Is there genocide against thieves and is there genocide against what's it called now? Christians? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me start from that of the foreign minister. We never expected anything different from the foreign minister. Number one is Fulani. Number two, he's in government. So you see, he's a two-edged sword, you know. So we never, and then number three is he's a Muslim. It's a three-edged sword, you know. So we never expected anything different from him. This is somebody who said the 177 we are quoting was not
But in all
even.
fairness, there's been a lot of Muslims speaking up and saying that there's genocide. Some Muslims have spoken up in favor of the Christians.
Yes, so that of
Yeah.
the Minister of Foreign Affairs, there's this tripod, the tripod of ethnicity, of religion, and of the fact that he's in government. So these three mixed, you can never expect anything from him different. These three factors mixed,
But,
you can
but even
never.
but even your fellow thief man is saying that there's no cause for alarm. Akume.
Okay. Anyway, those are people who are trying to be politically correct. They are not. They are not correct on the facts on ground. But they are trying to be politically correct, and I want to assure you that everybody understands. But it's only just unfortunate that at a time like this, a lot of people will be denying an obvious fact. But then we know it for what it is. That they only were just trying to be politically correct.
Hmm.
And
Okay,
yes.
so what would you also say about the governor, what he said, Akume, and tell us about these killings? What are the local governments where it's happening? What areas are they happening? And some other parts. Give us a background and give us some information as regards complicity, because I've heard you said security forces are complicit in all of this.
Okay. So in Benue, majorly, the local governments affected are the local governments on the borderline with Nasarawa State and some with Taraba State. The local government basically are from Idoma land, you have Apa, you have Agatu, you have Ohimini and Otupo. And then majorly, then around the Chief axis, you have Gwe West, you have Gwe East, you have Makoti, you have my local government of Guma, and then you have Logo, Ukum, Katinala, and Kwandi. Kwandi basically borders Cameroon and Taraba, So these are the local government was hit, the epicenter of this terrorism, this genocide in Benue State. So one of the reasons why we was hit is, like I told you, we're like the buffer between where these guys are coming from and the rest of Benue State. So before they could penetrate Benue State, they had to, first of all, pass through our localities, which are placed on the borderlines. And that is why we've been bearing the brunt all the while. And for us, just like the governor, there was a time I watched, I think on your program, on your TV channel, Arise,
Yeah.
where you played back his previous interviews, where he was saying these acts are orchestrated, they are organized and religiously executed. Of course, this has always been the case. So these acts have been orchestrated for the past 12 years, like I told you, and they were done in active connivance. I want to say this on air, like, because I have evidence enough. In active connivance with the military. With the
How do you
military.
mean with the military? What's your evidence that
Okay,
the
firstly,
military is active connivance?
all right, Rufai, let me tell you something. In nowhere in the world, especially in modern climes, in decent, organized societies in the world, have we ever seen communities after communities protest against the deployment of military to their communities, except in Nigeria? You know why? Because of the connivance of military. From Plateau, many communities in Benue to Plateau to Southern Canada have protested more than 1,000 times for the withdrawal of soldiers. Look, in elsewhere, in many other places, the moment there's crisis and the moment you dispatch the military to such locations, there'll be freight names, there'll be calm, there'll be assurances, and there'll be a feeling of security, but not in our own land, because the people have time and again noticed concretely the connivance of military. And okay, let me break it down for you. One, in, in April, I'm telling you directly as a witness, in April of 2022, that was the only time that the military could repel an attack in my village. The only time it is the singular time, because in all these cases, up to the massacre of June 13 and 14 this year, what the military guys stationed in the village did was to release some gunshots in the air where they were stationed in the primary school. That's all. They did not advance even a bit to where these guys were committing the genocide. They were just stationed where they were in the primary school, RCM primary school, Yelewata, and released some gunshots in the air. And so that is the strategy they've been doing. So we don't know whether it's the strategy of communicating to the terrorists that, look, we're here, don't come here. You can stand where you are and do whatever you want to do, but don't come to this side. Now, in April 2022, that was the only time that the military in Yelewata mixed with some of our boys with den guns, accosted these terrorists who came to invade our village. They killed 13 of those guys that day. 13 of those guys. Do you know? I was in Makodi that time in the government of Utoo as a principal special assistant. I went to the village immediately after that incident. I saw these bodies in the bush, and from these bodies, 3 of the people were having ID card of the Nigerian army.
Did you report
ID
the
card.
case to the Nigerian army when you saw this ID card?
Yes. We took
And
this
how did you identify that the ID card was not fake or something?
we took they were real ID cards. So we took this into the special advisor of security of Utoo, Connived, and we went to 72 Special Forces Battalion in North Bank, Makodi together and presented these things. Now, this was even far, this was even long ago in 2022. In this same year, 2025, just 2 weeks before the massacre of June 13 happened, precisely on May 28th, they invaded Yelewata. They killed my late father's bosom friend, Corporal Ulam, a retired corporal of the Nigerian Army, with his son, slaughtered the son who was sleeping. They came around 9 p.m., slaughtered these guys, shot at the wife, slaughtered 2 of his nephews. And then that was around 9 to 10 p.m. in Yelewata on May 28th, 2025, this same year. The following day, which is May 29th, when the rest of the country was celebrating the 2nd anniversary of Tinubu administration, a thief woman in Uday. Uday is the headquarter of our council ward. Our council ward is called Connived Council Ward. So Uday is the headquarter. Uday is in the interior, 8 kilometers away from Yelewata. In the interior, it has a railway station. So a thief woman was going to the farm in the morning around 6:30 to fetch firewood. Then she passed through a Fulani guy who squatted and was repairing a bike. His bike was spoiled, so he squatted and was fixing something. So when she passed around, she saw splashes of blood, stains of blood on his clothing, stains of blood all over. So of course that is a ground for suspicion, especially in our terrain. So she moved back to the community and alerted the youth. So the youth went there, accosted him, intensely interrogated him, and he was able to confess that they carried out an attack last night in Yelewata, my own village. They carried out in Yelewata, and that this bike was given to him by a soldier in Uday, because the Uday also have a detachment of soldiers stationed in the primary school, Baptist primary school in Uday. So they took the guy, they went to accost the soldier. The soldiers were just releasing some shots in the air, and the youth said they would just better kill all of them. And that was how the soldier brought out the soldier who gave this Fulani man the bike. A fellow Fulani man, that soldier, his name is Suleiman. Suleiman. So on interrogation, Suleiman was like, that's a soldier now. Was like, he released the bike to the Fulani guy because the Fulani guy came the previous day and said Snake had beaten his brother. And so he's giving the guy the bike to convey the brother to the hospital. So, okay, which hospital is that? Where is the guy who was beaten by the snake? No answer. Okay, you as a soldier in a strange land like Udi, you never knew anybody, and you gave the bike to the person. You know, those are bikes that were donated by government for security purposes. So
So are
that
you
was
saying that government donated bikes are being used now? And did you take this to the military echelon? What did they say about it?
now this, in most areas, in most of these states, the bikes that are being used by the security forces, are donated by the state government,
Mm.
and even some of their trucks for operation, are donated by the state government. So so they took the matter to Makodi, to the army base in Makodi, who deployed. That is where the guy was deployed, and unfortunately, that died a natural death. Up to now, we never heard anything about that. About Suleiman, who released his bike to a fellow Fulani terrorist to go and perpetrate act of terrorism and act of genocide in Yelewata.
How do you know that he knew that the person was going to perpetrate that act of genocide? Did you also
Of
do your
course,
investigation to reveal
of
that?
course,
How
of
did you
course,
know?
of course, like we said, uh, you are a security officer in a locality. He has never released a bike to any thief man for any purpose. The Fulani are not stationed there in that locality. If you see a Fulani man, a one appear in Ude, one is a suspect. So they are nowhere close to Ude. They only come to strike and go.
So you're
Do you
saying
understand?
no Fulani people live in Ode?
No single Fulani man lives anywhere around Ude. The
So,
only
but these allegations you're making are very damning. So, are you saying that the military is complicit? Are you saying across the hierarchy that is complicit?
Rufai,
Because
Rufai,
there's been calls now to increase the number of troops in fighting this. Maybe that will bring
uh,
solution to the
Ru-
matter. Are you saying
Rufai,
that even if they increase the number of troops, that complicity will happen?
I'm saying it with my full chest that the structure as it is now, right now in the military, has a lot of infiltrations. And so they collude a lot. Look,
But
T.Y.
you also
Benjamin,
told the story. You also told the story of a military man that did brilliantly well, that helped repel the attack. That's also a military man.
that is, yes, okay, good and fine. That that attack in Yelewata, the one that happened in 2022, I told you that I don't want to call his full names, but his rank is Staff Sergeant Kingsley. I don't want to call his surname because he's still in service. Staff Sergeant Kingsley, who was in Yelewata in 2022. So there was an attack. That attack that I told you that about 13 people were killed, 13 of the terrorists. That was the guy who led the attack. That was the only time the soldiers in Yelewata could repel an attack. And so when this man
So
did, it was like,
why was that the only time? Why did he help propel the attack? If you
oh,
talk about complicity across board,
okay, now that is the reason why he was redeployed first thing in the morning the following day. He was recalled first
who
thing in the
redeployed
morning.
him? And how did you know it was linked to that incident, that redeployment? And how did you know that it was linked to that incident?
Let me tell you the truth. They told
Yes.
us that the order, that wasn't part of the order. Let me see, Rufai, look, in my council wards of Niev, the military are stationed in 4 places. In my village, Yelewata, in Ude, in Otesi, Yungeze, that's what we call it, Yungeze, and in Mom village. Now, many of these military guys are mates. When I was in government, I related because I'm basically a very social person. So if I come to a place now, the next thing I'll just want to be close to the guys, especially the guys who are in charge of the place. So, and I was in government that time, so sometimes we assist them with aids. Sometimes they complain of lack of fuel. We assist them with fuel. We assist them with some logistics. So that they could just take a patrol. So many of these guys, I'm a Hausa speaking guy, like I told you. That's my first language. I'm Tiv, but I speak Hausa better than I speak Tiv. Because I was born and raised in Jos. So I I I relate with these guys, most especially these soldiers who are stationed in our places, who are coming from many of these Hausa speaking areas. And a lot of them begin to tell me the truth of the matter is that their command, their purview does not extend outside going after these guys. Their presence is in just these localities to give a semblance of security and peace
Who
to
told
the
you this?
community. Sorry?
Who told you this? That their purview is not to go after the attackers in those areas?
All the military guys stationed there. They will tell you directly. They will tell you directly, because in most cases, many of these attacks happen. You begin to, because we're in government, so you call them as a government official. Why is they'll tell you directly their purview is not going after this.
Did Otom have the security reports too?
Everything. Was Otom not accusing them?
What did he do about it?
No, but those were the things Otom was saying in those days. And Rufai, let me tell you, there's no better authority in this matter than T.Y. Danjuma, a former Minister of Defense, a former Chief of Army Staff, who has said concretely and expressly that there is a massive collusion of the military in these things. Even General Musa, the immediate past CDS, immediately after Yelewata happened, in one of his press releases, he said, look, they were aware of military collusion in the killings in Yelewata. We have all these things on tape. General Musa mentioned it. So who am I, a smaller authority, compared to these guys who admitted to the collusion of military in this? So my own is the fact that I've seen it myself as a direct witness. I've seen it. And let me end this with this analogy, with this saying. Look, have you ever, anywhere between Plateau, Southern Kaduna, Benue, and Taraba, seen the military kill any of these Fulani terrorists and display their bodies the way they've been displaying Boko Haram, the bodies of Boko Haram in the northeast, the bodies of some of the insurgents killed in the north central?
I wouldn't know, but the military does display.
northwest.
I wouldn't know, but the military just displayed the body of insurgents killed, and these people killed.
They've been doing that. They've been telling you that, look, see the people they killed. This number. We've been seeing the pictures of the terrorists.
I want to get some data. Do you have some data as regards number of Christians and probably Muslims and people killed generally in around your flank Benue this year? Because Mr. Tuga brought about another data which a lot of people said no, he doesn't even have the data. Do you have some data as regards that? Then secondly, who do you think might be funding these people, and how many villages now have they taken over? Because there's also talk about them taking T villages. How many villages are they occupied now? And what's the state as we speak today in Yelewata? Are people back to their homes in Yelewata, or they are still in the IDP camps? And do you have the what's it called, the account number for the IDPs, so that we?
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to,
so that we take it up from there.
Okay. So he has just sent the OP account.
Okay, OP account. Can you call it out? So this is for the IDPs in Yelewata.
Yes.
If you want to reach out to them, call out the account.
Okay, 70. Yeah, 66. 350. 274. Yeah, and the name is Kicking Paul. Yeah, Kicking is Aikin.
Okay, so 706 635 706 635 0274.
Yes.
Kicking Paul. So if you want to donate to the IDPs, thank you so much, people that helped me push out on my TikTok and other platforms. So if you want to donate to the IDPs in Yelewata and some other areas, let's reach out to them and let's see how we can support them. So, like I was saying before, I said, let's talk about complicity. We talked about complicity. Let's talk about funding. Who do you think, they're the ones, funding all of this? How many villages have been taken now? Because we hear a lot of the allegations of substitution that, they come, they fight us, they take our land. So how many villages now have now been usurped from thief people, and it's now the hands of what's it called, the herders? And the second question I want to ask you is, there are some Muslim thieves, right? Are they also being attacked?
Okay, let me start from the rear, your last question. They are
Yeah.
Muslim. My mom herself is thief and she's Muslim.
Okay.
My own biological mom, whom have our first child, So that is being said, but of course, Muslim thief constitute less than 0.5% of the population of thief. So that is what's on ground. And then you're talking of how many villages have been taken. Let me tell you, like in my council ward, in my own council ward of Niev, more than 60% of the villages are taken over by these guys. More than 60% of the villages. Let me tell you.
And they live there now. These attackers now live there after displacing thief. So can you mention some of those villages so that we get people to go investigate and check those villages?
Like in my council ward, Che Zayu, Bagbangi, Che Hyo, Che Anundu, Che Jonyi, Atongu, Che Hua. So this basically were even many of the people killed in Yelewata were from these settlements. You understand? Yelewata itself was an IDP camp because a lot of people left the interior to come to Yelewata because Yelewata is by the roadside, and there's a detachment of the military in Yelewata. Okay. And so many of the people that who could not even get their names, who were killed, who were burned to ashes, were from these localities because they are in the interior. And so they are susceptible to these attacks more than Yelewata. So many of them move to Yelewata. And then some actually go to those villages in the morning to check their farms. And from evening around 4 p.m., they begin to come to Yelewata. And that is why you could see that a lot of people were killed in market stalls. Because those guys are not guys in Yelewata. They are people we can.
Just 1 minute. I just wanted, so the account number is 706 635 0274. OPay. Paul, all right, because somebody put it on the link here. So what's it called? I pinned it that so that people can see it.
Kicking Paul. K-I-K-I-N.
Okay, Kicking Paul. Not Ikin Paul. Kicking Paul.
Yeah, K-I-K-I-N.
K-I-K-I-N, Kicking Paul, but it's 706 635 0274. Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So we can just so you said most of these villages have been taken over. In Yelewata, have people been able to return to Yelewata?
Okay, now majority of our people are in the IDP camp, including my own immediate family. Like I told you some days ago, my youngest sibling is just 3 years old. He was 4 months old when my father died in 2023. He's also in the IDP camp. My two stepmothers are in the IDP camp. My younger sister, that is my father's, that's to the last born, she gave birth in the IDP camp 3 months ago. Gave birth in the IDP camp 3 months ago. My own biological younger sister. So majority of Yelewata residents are right now in the IDP camp, but some have returned home.
So they've gone back to Yelewata. Some have come back to Yelewata.
Yes, some have returned, but it is just a daydream for anybody amongst the other settlement camps in Yelewata to think of even going back to their homes. That is starting from 2-3 kilometers in the interior from Yelewata. You can't dare just go to those places. Starting from 2 to 3 kilometers in the interior. So there are many of the settlements from those places where I can't.
Okay.
If you go to local government like Gwe West, for instance, Gwe West has about I think about 13 council wards. Do you know that all the council wards have been taken over? Only one. Their headquarters, Naka. So the people have moved all to the headquarters in Naka.
Okay, so people are moving. So people are asking that this Kicking Paul, hope it's not going to be for personal use. So can he also make videos available of what he buys with whatever donations he receives in the IDP camp, so that for accountability's sake, that's what
exactly. So you know
the beauty
of this
people are asking. Yeah.
yes, the beauty of this whole thing is that we're not giving their donation is not going to outsiders who are going to administer it for Yelewata people. It is going
Yeah.
to Yelewata people themselves who have
Yeah.
suffered this,
So
and they know
whatever
what
they
they're
help them buy, we help them raise from this donation. Let's just
exactly,
be able to see it. Secondly,
exactly.
you see some people are. What's the percentage of people that have gone back to Yelewata as we speak? And since they've gone
I
back, has
can't.
there been any attack?
Yes, I can't be certain because like many of the people like the Pikin Paul, for instance, is
Mm,
someone who goes back to Yelewata and then return to the IDP. So many of them have been oscillating that
mm,
way. Yeah, they go back to Yelewata, check one or two things, and then return to the IDP camp. Some go to spend the night and then they check the surroundings, and then they check well, and then go back to the IDP
mm.
camp. So that is the case of our people all the while. But
So I
majority,
also hear this persecution is also going up the way to Taraba. In fact, somebody reached out to me, Samuel. I think maybe we'll have him one of these days, and he told me about the persecution of the people in Taraba. Also, I mean, some thief people being persecuted in Taraba. In fact, said there was a protest in the village, and some people were killed, and all of that. So, all of this is centered around what you call a level of religious genocide, tribal
ethnic,
genocide,
yeah,
and religious genocide, right? So,
yeah.
why are the thief people, your estimation, being targeted? And can you
Okay, so
also share some knowledge you have on other conflicts, maybe across the northern part of the country, you know? And then we now talk about your own political journey, the what judiciary did to you, because you are also a politician, you serve in the government, you try to run for an election,
yeah,
judiciary tried to they pushed you out, the APC and all of that. And you
mm,
said Akube was mentioning your name because both of you have probably had a back and forth in the past in this press conference he did. And also, if you just can tell us around that area.
okay, so the regarding the thief people in Taraba, um, this has been going on for ages. Displacement of the thief, because there's this notion that a lot of people feel that because thief are majorly in Benue, so every thief man should be within the geographical expression called Benue. You know, so we used to be together. The larger geographical expression, that contraption, used to be the northern contraption before the creation of various states. So many of these thieves settlements fell under Plateau, Nasarawa, Taraba, according to how states were created. So those were thieves in their indigenous ancestral lands in Taraba and in Nasarawa state, most especially. But there's always that friction between some of the locals. I don't know. We they make us feel like Jews. They make us feel like Jews, almost hatred everywhere. Back forth, and so that was the case in Taraba. And so they've been systematically executing the thief in Taraba. But the thief in Taraba before now, they've been producing House of Assembly members. In Taraba, there, the thief in Nasarawa State have also produced House of Assembly members. During the administration of Abdullah Sule Taraba in Nasarawa State, there are about 2 thief House of Assembly members, but they started carrying out this act of killing the thieves, and a lot of them started relocating, moving southwards towards Benue, and then leaving their ancestral lands, and then the lands have been given to Fulanis, especially in Nasarawa State, right now, to Fulanis. And then the government again brought a policy where they've been seizing the ancestral land of the thief, and in the name of giving it to some agriculture, to some companies for agricultural purposes, for mechanized farming. So anytime the government of Nassau they want to seize land, want to give land to companies for mechanized farming, what they do is that they go to thief areas. They don't touch the areas like the current governor is from Akwanga local government. There's so much land between Gudi and Moro and many of these places. Within Akwanga, for instance, there's so much fertile land in the southern axis of Nasarawa State, like is it southwest? There's the area between Nasarawa local government and Toto local government and Kefi local government. There's so much fertile land in those areas, but they don't get those land to give anytime they want to give land to any company for farming, they go to Natural South, to where the thieves are concentrated, and then seize the land. So as I talk to you right now, there's a case in court. There's a case in court against the governor of Nasarawa State by the indigenous thief of Nasarawa State for the seizure of their ancestral, yes, of their ancestral land.
Is that also affecting Tangali people in Gombe State? Have you ever heard of that?
I'm not quite conversant with that.
Somebody just sent that here. So, as you were saying, so okay, so we've been able to settle that this cuts across, every part. Your back and forth with the Secretary of the Federation. You said both of you had worked politically in the past, said even where you worked on his campaign back in the days. I mean, tell me about that, because there were veiled references to you. Can you talk to us about that and your own political struggles as we start to wrap up quickly?
Okay, the Secretary of Government of Federation is my political father. He brought me into the political limelight because I've always been known as a very consummate student activist in Benue State. So my activism credential, actually inspired him to make me the coordinator of the youth and student arm of his campaign organization. So he's been my father in politics, especially, but unfortunately, it was because of him that I left APC in 2018, because I was a foundation member of the party, because I won the APC primaries of December 2014. But he snatched it and gave it to my big brother, who was never a contestant at all, who was never a contestant. And so these are bare facts on ground. I contested against one Tehide Utan, and I won the primaries. But my name was not submitted to INEC. At that point, the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner of Benue State was the current APC National Chairman, Nantawi. And so the INEC themselves, when I went to court, when I took that pre-election matter to court, the INEC themselves filed to the extent that I was the winner of that election. And they brought
so Nantawi Yelewata actually defended you.
Yes, because their lawyers, brought the report, because by the Constitution and by the Electoral Act, they are mandated to monitor party primaries and keep the records. So they brought the records to court, and the record indicated that we're just two candidates, and I won. And the person who is there right now was not a candidate. Rather, he contested under the PDP in that same election. So that was what happened. And like I told you, that was one thing that killed my zeal for the practice of law in Nigeria, because I could see impunity outrightly done in the judiciary, because my case was so clear, a case where your major exhibits are the appeal committee report of APC, the party itself, so that when you now come back to the party by saying it's a pre-election matter, it should be left within the purview of political parties, then I have the appeal committee report of the party, which was the highest document in that case, and then not the result sheet they manufactured and gave and presented to the court. So the appeal committee report ordinarily should supersede that result sheet. So we had the appeal committee report of APC, and then very importantly, the INEC report of the body that is mandated by the Constitution and the Electoral Act to monitor party primaries and keep the record. And in that case, since it's a pre-election matter, it's an intra-party matter, INEC is the witness, and INEC's own version, INEC's own position should be given priority, because that's the most neutral body in this whole matter. But the fact that the cases were given on just technical grounds all through, really deflated my zeal for the practice of law, because I studied my law from the University of Northumbria in Newcastle in the northeast of England. And in England, at all times, they will always teach you that, look, don't always allow, we accept the fact that there are procedures in law, but don't always allow technical justice to trump over substantial justice. many of these technicalities are curable defects. You can cure them when you feel that that technicality is quite necessary. You can cure them so I can give the judgment on the merits of the case. So that was what happened. That was what happened to my case. My case was so clear. So, but in the Supreme Court, they threw it out and said we did not seek the leave of the court, and so they're dismissing the case.
Okay. Okay, so that's a little bit about the background of your own story. I want to certain we'll keep, bringing you from time to time on this show. President Trump was speaking on Fox Radio. That's Brian Kilmeade's show, and he was saying, "Give a lot of Nigeria, nothing has been done," and all of that. And we have a lot of people in common because I've been doing a lot of advocacy work for Benue since the floods about 10 years ago. And I think when I mentioned EA yesterday, you said you didn't know how. So what can we do apart from this donation for the IDP camps in Benue? What can we do as we wrap up? And what do you think the government should do? You've talked about complicity. You said it should be fair across board. What can we do? Can we also get a mechanism at which we can even get proper data and reportage? Somebody just sent me a couple of villages more that they think that has been taken over from the thief people and all of that. So what can we do as regards all of this? As we wrap up in less than 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, yeah.
What can we do to the IDPs?
Yes.
Is that
what
the
do they
summary of
do?
the question?
Apart from this donation, yeah, put it up for I'm sure Kicking Paul have gotten some handsome good donations, because some people have, reacted to it here, maybe even anything. But I know that's just trifle. So, but what should the government be doing for the IDPs? It could even be what the international community should be doing for the IDPs. It could be what UNICEF should be doing for the IDPs.
Okay. So basically, the most important thing the IDP needs right now are basic necessities of life. Food. I'm telling you that in that IDP camp in Makodi, where they are placed right now, I'm talking particularly of the Yelewata IDP. They've not been given even a cup of rice in the past 3 weeks. And so many of these IDPs, they leave the camp to go and work in many of the households around just to generate 500, 600, 1,000 to be able to buy something to feed themselves. So that's what they've been doing. They've been working around doing house chores, working in the farmlands of people in the neighboring community in Makodi where the camp is placed. So they need food, and I want these bodies contributing to take care of that directly. We don't want it to go through the government. We want them to take care of that directly. They need clothing. There were a lot of organizations who presented clothing, and I'm telling you that many of the government officials took these clothing, and the IDPs have been complaining to me that they brought clothes to them, but the officials of both the humanitarian agency, ministry and the state emergency agency have taken these clothing and they see them wear these clothes to the IDP camps. Yes, why the IDP camps are just left unclothed. So we want these groups, these organizations, these non-profits to take this directly to the IDPs. So they need clothes, they need food, they need medication. Like I told you, my own younger sister is there. I have like my direct siblings, about 6 of them there. My father's 2 wives, my other siblings. My younger sister gave birth in the IDP camp 3 months ago. You know what comes with giving birth?
So they need medication, they need supplies and all of that.
Exactly. Okay. The women need pads, they need pads and some other basic medication. And then, very importantly, if we can get people who put up a makeshift school for the children, because our kids have been out of school for a very long time. So if we can get people who can be teaching them, even giving some computer knowledge and giving some kid basic education, we'll appreciate that. And then providing books, to these kids, and then recruiting some teachers for them to be teaching them even within the camps or in Yelewata, because the schools right now in Yelewata is not even operative.
Okay. And then so you stated that. Then also, as regards, solving the problem, you just want a lot of sincerity on the part of the government and the international community. to also help,
Exactly.
right? Because I just have minutes to wrap things up. But one thing is certain, we'll see how that goes. If I have some means, I'll give my own little widow's mind. I'm not promising anything to also the kicking Paul. And what we'll also do is we'll keep, in fact, let me screen munch so that I can be able to, okay, good. So that I can be able to amplify this across all my pages to see if we can raise some more resource for the camps and all of that. But thank you so much, for joining us, and thank you for your resilience, and your strength and your courage, for joining
Thank
us.
you, I appreciate you.
I hope this would actually go far. And that's about all we can take on the show today. God bless you all. Thank you so much for your time. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much for all the family members that join us across all platforms. God really bless and nourish you.
And yes, I can hear you. Now let's talk a bit about the Congress yesterday, the in the U.S. and how has the Muslim ticket, affected this administration in that light? Because Nigeria is largely the events happening in Nigeria is largely being interpreted as Muslims against or Islam against Christianity.
I have made it clear several times that my intervention or my
Hello, are you talking to me?
has nothing to do with any
No,
external
Reverend, please hold on. Please hold on. We'll come back to you. We're speaking with Omoyele right now, but we'll come back to you.
Okay,
Reverend.
thank you.
Very much.
I have an answer to question.
Intervention has nothing to do with the position of the U.S. I'm discussing strictly internal affairs of Nigeria and how Nigerians can work through the finding solution to their own problems without having to wait for the U.S. or a congressman in the U.S. to determine our fate. But I was very disappointed, but not surprised. Nigeria's delegation went all the way to the U.S. to go and meet a House of Rep member. The Inspector General of Police, the illegal Inspector General of Police, the NSA, the Chief of Defense Staff, all of them went all the way to the U.S. to meet a U.S. congressman, what you call a House of Rep member. That's how bad the situation of Nigeria is. That's how terrible the leadership of the country is. I do not think Nigeria's problem is religion as much as people want us to believe it, because my position is that there's genocide. Be very clear about that. But the genocide is not directed at Christians alone. It's directed at Muslims. The girls who were abducted yesterday were Muslims, in Kirby. Of course, today we've heard that there's another abduction that happened in Niger State in a Catholic school. But you'll be surprised that there might be Muslims in that school as well, because it's an educational institution of people who don't even identify religiously. And there's been abductions of 35 persons in the church. The Nigerian state has failed its people, the state and its operators. So I don't think it's proper to keep couching this as a Muslim ticket issue. We've had Christians in this country who ran the country the same way. The Obasanjos of this world, the Jonathans of this world, they were Christians. There was a Christian Muslim leadership. Yes.
The question actually was, because it was also mentioned at the Congress meeting yesterday held in the United States of America. It was the perception is that Christians are being sidelined, segregated, as this administration carried out what is against the Constitution of Nigeria, because the Constitution says, that if a Christian is the president of the country, a Muslim becomes the vice. That way, there is equal representation. And if a Muslim is the president, and then a Christian becomes the vice. So it was mentioned there. That's the question. How has that affected?
I don't know that the Nigerian Constitution says that. Which part of the Nigerian Constitution says that if president is Muslim, the vice must be
we'll have the lawyers
Christian.
to help us answer that.
I don't think it's true. So what happens to people who don't identify religiously? When do they become president and vice president?
Well, you understand that has been a modus operandi.
I think it's a practice of it is political parties who practice that. I don't think it's a constitutional issue.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, maybe one of your lawyers can correct me.
That's okay.
But I don't know of any part. But what I'm saying is that I don't think the problem of Nigeria has to do. They use religion to manipulate people. They use ethnicity to manipulate. And but I think it's largely competence and character of these leaders. They're not competent. They're not. You know, you imagine that girls are getting abducted everywhere, and your Inspector General of Police, so to speak, is in the U.S. begging a congressman in the U.S. to come and save Nigeria.
The question I want to ask is
you have 350,000 policemen armed in your country. You are not directing, you are not commanding them. You carried yourself, and I'm just using in the way Nigerian, you put yourself on a plane and flew to the U.S. to go and explain your position to a U.S. congressman.
You've established that, but you made a statement that the matter or the issue I have in here is the issue of competence. Do you have a problem with a country with more sophisticated equipment or more organized team coming in to help you take out extremists, kill both Christians and Muslim or even traditionalists in your country?
I asked you when I was leaving your studio the last time I was in Lagos, if you remember. I don't know if you're the one who interviewed me. I said, what happens if the U.S. don't come? They promise you they're coming. Are you still waiting for them? What if they don't come? So you are not going to solve this problem until the U.S. arrives here and come and help you to take out your extremists.
So do you have a problem with them coming at all? That's actually the question.
I don't have a problem with coming. No, I don't have a problem with collaboration, but I have a problem with, helping the Christians and letting the terrorists and extremists kill all the Muslims who are also victims, or kill the traditionalists, or let the kidnappers or the ritualists kill people, or let even your policemen and army kill people. Because this genocide we're talking about happened at the toll gate in 2020. Nobody's talking about it, and that was carried out by the Nigerian army. Genocide has been taking place in this country, arrayed against all kinds of people for different reasons. But we are all narrowing this down to a religious matter. That's just all about Christians. It's not about Christians alone. The Nigerian state, the Nigerian nation, the Nigerian country is falling apart because of terrible leadership, because of incompetence, because of people who are mismanaging the country. And the U.S., even if they were to show up here today, we can't help you to solve all your problems. And I'm afraid to say it. I hate a group of people who are always looking for help from others, and even in a situation where they can help themselves.
All right.
Yes.
Let me
if you have 350,000 policemen,
okay,
what are you doing with them? Why can't you have at least 30,000 of them? And when they want to rig election, where do they find policemen?
Okay,
to help them? You find police every corner. But there have been abductions of kids from their beds in secondary schools now, in abductions from churches, abduction and killings in mosques. Your policeman is nowhere to be found. Their head, so-called, is in the U.S. begging or explaining to a House of Rep member in the U.S. who doesn't even know where Nigeria is located on the map of the world to come and help you. And all of you are repeating the same thing. I don't have a problem with anybody who wants to help Nigeria.
Okay,
but it should be by collaboration, and it should not be. It should not be about helping Christians alone. It should be about helping everybody who is in distress.
Now we get your point. We get your point. Now, talking about 300,000 soldiers, we also hear the army authorities say they are going to recruit 24,000 soldiers, you know, in the coming days, coming weeks, or even months. Now, I'd like for us to stay within the ambit of politics. You are a politician, you are a human rights activist as well. And as far as you are concerned, Nigeria shouldn't wait, you know, for any kind of somebody from outside to come and help them, but you also believe in collaboration. I want to ask you, everything, we have killings now going around, looks more like there's a surge, you know, there's a resurgence. A lot of people believe that, look, it has something to do with 2027, and that it has become a pattern starting from 2011, 2015, in 2019 or so. Do you believe that this thing has to do with a particular group of people wanting to say, oh, we are going to make this country ungovernable because we don't like the person that is in government? Does it have anything to do with 2027? Especially also when we have a situation where somebody that is at the helm of affairs, talking about the vice president in 2013, 14, 15, when the Chibok girls happened. We saw somebody, you know, a known terrorist, kingpin, arrested in the government house in Abuja, his own government house in Abuja. How do you relate with all of that with 2027 and the politics around it, the politics of North-South divide? How do you see that?
See, you have to separate conspiracy theories from reality. I have no doubt that politicians are terrible enough in this country to do anything to win elections. We all know that. But my focus are those communities that are in distress, churches and people whose family are in the bush as we speak, and how to rescue them and protect the country. And if we keep dabbling into the conspiracy theories, we are doing the unthinkable. We are allowing those in government to help us provide or help them escalate their excuses so that nothing will be done. In a nutshell, where is this theory coming from? It's coming from the same people who refuse to act. Tinubu and his people, the APC. Suddenly, Tinubu's people are now saying that, oh, some northern politicians want to take power from us. That is why Boko Haram has resurged. In 2015, it was the same theory. Oh, we don't. Jonathan is not competent. We should take over power from him. Jonathan saying to everybody, "Oh, it is some people in the north who wants to take power from me." Who made, in fact, in 2015, the theory of people supporting Jonathan was that there was no abduction of Chibok girls. Some people said there was no abduction, even though today, Chibok girls, so many of them are still with the terrorists. They said there's no abduction. They deny it. So they are deniers, are conspiracy theorists. My focus is not on that. Because if you focus on that, you're helping Tinubu not to do his job. He's happy. When you say, oh, and then they line up all their ethnic jingoes behind them. Oh, they want to take away from the Yorubas the opportunity to have a second term. And you are the commander-in-chief. What's your excuse? Send your army to go and work. Send your police to find placards. Bring back our girls. Even PDD joined. Obama's wife. Everybody. Tinubu carry placards. What was the end of it? The girls, some of them are still in the bush because we are not a serious people. We're always looking for help everywhere. I said it in your studio last time I was in Lagos. Some of you are still waiting for Jesus Christ to come and provide electricity. It's not going to happen. Stop looking for help and help yourselves. Develop your internal mechanism for protecting your country, protecting your territorial integrity by electing competent leaders. Otherwise, America will come here, they'll throw a few bombs. When they're tired, which usually they don't have much time for you, they'll move away. You see the history of America's intervention in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, how it ended up. You're telling me your own will be different. I wish you luck.
All right, thank you very much, Moyele Shore. Let's bring it back to the studio. Barrister Asim Adams, let's tell us. You know, you've been following this conversation. What are your thoughts?
You see, first of all, before I go into my thoughts, or I relay my thoughts, there is nowhere in the Nigerian constitution where Muslim or Christian ticket is stated.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
So it's the internal affairs of political parties for them to decide. Maybe for political gains, they decided to get a Muslim. Exception, in my own opinion, is the normalization and the zest and energy given to Muslim bandits and terrorists, or Muslim collaborators in government and establishment. Now, what am I talking about? If you ask me the question, what exactly is Boko Haram, ISWAP, doing, and why are they killing people? In the Niger Delta, they were a set of young men who were referred to as militants. But we knew that their mission was economic emancipation of their region. How to make the Niger Delta a better place. That is their own belief. But the issue now is that Boko Haram and ISWAP, what exactly is their mission? My opinion is that their mission is to Islamize Nigeria.
Okay.
Why did they choose Nigeria out of about 15, 16 West African countries? And they have now decided that Nigeria should be their headquarters. Because in Ghana and some other West African countries, I don't think Boko Haram and ISWAP are in this kind of large numbers. On a daily basis, I've never heard where killings taking place in Ghana and any other West African country as case may be. So the questions abound right now is that why and what is the essence of the killings of these particular groups? My own take is that it's for them to Islamize Nigeria. So if their motive is to Islamize Nigeria, what has given them that verve and zest? What, in my own opinion, has given them that verve and zest for those who are supporting them? For a Sheikh Gumi to come out openly to say that he has even gone to negotiate with these people. Sheikh Gumi is a religious cleric and of the Islamic hue. So he is going to negotiate with them, and he believes that he knows them, and they are furthering the interests of his religion. The governors of the northern part of Nigeria, they have negotiated with the terrorists. Okay. Because there's a tacit and direct support, in my own opinion, because they are pursuing their religious aspirations. The imams, the sultans of this world, the emirs, who are invariably Muslims, I have never seen where they have come out to put their foot on ground to say, look, enough is enough. You have destroyed the name of Islam too long. Islam does not tolerate killings and bloodshedding. None of them have spoken, in my own opinion. What I'm saying is that the Nigerian Constitution gives these people that premature authorization. Okay. Covertly or overtly.
All right then.
Now, a good example is this. What is Section 275, Section 277 of the 1999 Constitution doing in the Constitution? To the extent that a state House of Assembly can sit down. If my state decides to say they want to practice Sharia today, the Constitution says that the House of Assembly can sit down and make laws that will enhance the institution and execution of Sharia codes of a practice. Now you ask yourself the question, is that not diametrically opposed to Section 10 of the 1999 Constitution? As the case may be, these are questions we need to answer. Now, I can say with due respect that people like Sheikh Gumi and the rest of them, they are drawing their flank and energies from that particular embodiment of Section 275 and 277. Okay. So they feel that the Islamic code of Sharia, let us not deceive ourselves. Sharia is an Islamic code. Sharia is not a Christian code. Now, if you empower a particular state to now let the House of Assembly make laws that will enhance Sharia, does that mean that the same Constitution has denied Christians from the Southeast and South-South, from the House of Assembly, to now make what they call canon laws that will be affecting Christians in that particular area. So this is a conundrum. This is the problem I'm having.
All right, then.
And I've not been able to die. Nobody has given us any answer. Then secondly and lastly, is that the administration, why you see myself, for instance, my opinion is that I would want America to intervene, whether covertly or overtly, if they want to collaborate, if they want to do direct attack, but how to exterminate these terrorists and terrorism in Nigeria, if they can do it for me, I will support it. The reason is not far-fetched. The government of the day has failed us.
All right.
The government of the day has failed us in the sense that they have not been able to achieve Section 14 sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution that says security and welfare is the reason why we are in government. So if you cannot secure us as Nigerians and you say you are president, then what are you doing there?
All right, then. But
So
you've shared your opinion, and it's we should state that these are opinion of the guests, not that of the station, Voice of the People Television. Reverend Dachamo, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm listening.
You were going to answer the question asked earlier about the Muslim ticket and the perception in the international community. Can you please do justice to that in a few minutes so we could end this conversation?
Okay, in few minutes, my brother, let us be realistic. The same government that came out and said there's no genocide, and they are sitting on genocide. The Muslim is the president. The vice president is a Muslim. Muslim ticket. Don't you think it's a complete genocide on Christian in Asoro? It's a real genocide. These people are moving towards the cause to take over. They thought Tinubu would die. They brought Shatima. And Shatima is carrying the banner of Boko Haram on his shoulder. The terrorists. Imagine God called Tinubu as it was expected by Islamic agenda. The country could have been a mess, worse than any history of Nigeria.
All right.
But God kept him alive to save Nigerians.
Okay.
With all the shortcomings. Let me tell you something.
Yes, Reverend.
Today in this nation, if they want justice, they want to solve this problem, Shetima should be removed.
All right, Reverend Dachamo. I must say,
Shetima is the Muslim ticket. All Christians in Nigeria is only people that have lost their test before God in heaven that will vote Muslim ticket.
Ezekiel,
but people that are in God fearing, they will never vote Muslim ticket.
Well, thank you for your contribution. These are your thoughts on that. I was hoping that you talk about the perception from the international community, but thank you very much, and may God continue to protect you as well.
Amen. Amen.
And all of us. May God protect all of us. Well, gentlemen, stay with us as we get into another conversation now. We must say a very big thank you to Samuel Ogwanen, also who joined this conversation. He's a native of Chachanji, Tukum local government area of Taraba State. He talked about his siblings that died in that in attack in Taraba State, and also we've had Barrister Sim Adams. Now let's get into another conversation. Now we're talking about Nnamdi Kanu and the trial yesterday. Well, it's a trial. I would rather not want to talk about the trial or talk about issues around it. But Nnamdi Kanu gets life imprisonment. Well, let's talk about this when we come back. Join us again.
Everybody.
You lost.
He was protected.
Now, Barrister Ezeluche, a certain governor, Abdrazak, was of the opinion that media personnel should stop projecting or covering the issue of insecurity in his state. You know, he made that statement through an emir who also mandated the media to stop covering the issue of insecurity, saying that is painting his government bad at this point. And with all the back and forth we're seeing, people are denying killings in Nigeria. Some are beginning to water it down, calling it more like a clash, not killings, even when we saw a one-time level of people being killed and all. No, help us actually work around this. With the new challenge given to Nigerian government to end issue of terrorism, banditry, insurgent, and all that, are we going to see that happen anytime soon?
Thank you very much. Let me just first of all address the issue of the U.S., what happened in the U.S. Congress. Right. I hope that Godswill Akpabio, Barrow, his deputy, Abbas, the Speaker of the House, and Benjamin Kalu, they watched and listened to how legislators behave and react to emergency situations. And it's not to sit down and be shouting those in favor, say aye, those against say nay, and boom, nothing happens. Because you see, it's unfortunate for Nigeria, even foreigners have more empathy for our situation than the people who are supposed to rule over us. It played out yesterday. Look at a U.S. member of the House shedding tears for the killings in Nigeria, and a rascal who is a governor, I mean, using these words, because if you don't call a spade, my dear, will keep on perambulating. When you say rascal, you call him a rascal. A governor comes out, killings are going on around your state. You now want to pursue those who are reporting the killings.
So do you think it's appropriate to call a governor a rascal?
I'm coming.
They should,
I'm coming. It's not your words, it's my words.
Simmer down on the
Because you have not lost a relative.
Oh, wow.
Because you have not been a victim.
I think they should simmer down on the
I would have been a victim on the day Goodluck was killed. I got guns pointed at my head by these rascal elements. So when you see...
But we're talking about a governor.
Yes.
So let's simmer down.
Good. But when a man says, don't report facts going on, who are you to tell journalists what to report on? Who are you to tell journalists not to tell the truth of what goes on in your state? And who do you use to pass that message? You use an emir. Emir means the head of the Muslims in that area. Do not report my killings done by my own people. And you think we should applaud such characters? You think we should call those people His Excellency? Excellency in what, for goodness sake? Now, these kind of pronouncements by those who are ruling over us are what is trying to confuse the world that, okay, there is no genocide, there is genocide, when in reality, killings are going on. And you are saying we shouldn't report it. What should we be doing? We should be applauding you for going to cut tape of 1 kilometer road when you have shoddy contract jobs. That's what you expect Nigerians to applaud, or you expect the journalists to write about. When as a governor, you have totally lost the basics of what your essence as a governor, to protect the lives and properties of your citizens. You've not done that, and you want journalists not to report that. Come on. Well, I hope that's why we keep on applauding channels like Voice of the People, because most Nigerian media outlets won't allow these views to be expressed. So we applaud you and your management, because at least the Nigerians are able to have a glimpse at the other side. Because the reality is this. Okay. The role of journalists is to project the reality.
Okay, now let's stay with what transpired yesterday at the U.S. Congress. And we saw, it was 3-hour-long deliberation. And you pointed to, you did a bit of a comparison with ours here. The gavel, the gavel, and the rest of it. But in that statement, in all that transpired, somewhere of the opinion that, because I know one of the delegates was asked if jihadists had infiltrated the government, and his opinion was that no, that had not happened. Okay. But then another thing that was mentioned there is that the government of Nigeria has been given an opinion, an opportunity to ask for help, but he hasn't asked for help. He hasn't sought help from the international community. He hasn't said, look, come help us. Is that to say that this government is on top of, issues and can handle it and doesn't feel overwhelmed as Nigerians are crying? Or what exactly do you make of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the reality is this. What this government is on top of is how to extract more blood from Nigerians, more money, more taxation. They will launch new tax, this, tax, that. They put fuel a price on fuel, tax on this and that. That is what this government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is. And with regards to terrorists having infiltrated the government, the administration, we know that the vice president, Kashim Shettima, while he was governor of Borno State, a wanted terrorist was seen and arrested in the official government residence in Abuja. That is reality. It's not hearsay. We also know that during the Chibok abductions, I mean, during the heyday of when Jonathan was in office, when there was a continued refrain from these people in government and the APC leaders that any attack on the terrorists was an attack on Nigeria, on the north, and whatsoever. So now those characters have now infused and become the government of Nigeria. When you join the dots, you begin to have an eerie feeling that is it that truly has this government been infiltrated? And you watch their reactions, you watch the countenance, how they react to these killings. The same way that Mr. Muhammadu Buhari, the late president, he was reacting. Do you want your land or your lives? Go and make peace with your killers. There is no genocide. I mean, it's a continuum. So that is scary. I mean, the reality is this. Has there been infiltration? Yes. But to what extent is now the issue. Even the killing of Brigadier General Uba clearly was something like that had an insider connotation about it. The general was able to leave where he was, where the bombardment took place, and then he was trying to radio for backup, and no backup came out. You now wonder, in which sane country do you send a general to the war front and there's no adequate backup to even lift him out at any time? But this general was still able, the gallant general was able to still reach out, and still he was killed. The people are beginning to wonder, was there a communication with the terrorists to look at where this man is, go and pick him up? So there has been established signs of infiltration. The issue is to what extent? And has this government showed any capacity or willingness to attract external support? No, because the Americans are saying, yes, what we even give to you, you leave it and the terrorists take it. Because a lot of, if you look at the ammunition displayed by these terrorists, they don't buy it in the shop, in supermarkets. It is usually government issued, and they have to take it out.
All right, Barrister Adams, let me come to you. Like, we're talking about what the government has done or what the government seems to be doing. The president has ordered Matawale to relocate to Kebbi State, you know, where these schoolgirls were abducted. What impact, what level of impact would that make, his presence there? Barrister Eluche said something about it, that probably he's going to have more security to protect him instead of channeling them to the appropriate ward. Do you think that the president shouldn't have taken that decision? Because we have also seen before where the president said, Chief of Army Staff relocate to Benue State after the Yelewata killings and all of that. The IGP was there, Chief of Defense Staff was there, Chief of Army Staff was there. And when they left, we had more killings in Benue State.
See, what the president did, or by sending that delegation to that, to whatever we call that place, it's a very wrong decision. People that should even get there, civilians, are psychologists, who should go there and talk to the victims or families of the victims, who can, you know, soothe their pains, you know, the pangs of losing, family members, or, abduction. If you have your family member being abducted, by a gang, a bandit gang, that is, they should have sent more of those people to go and talk to them, calm their frayed nerves. Then the next thing that ought to be is that the military should swing into full action. Within 24 hours, recover those girls and bring them back, or the students and bring them back, those who were abducted. So Matawale going there is just plain shared politics. You understand? And I refer to that as what they call it a sanctimonious platitudes. He goes there to begin to talk, they give him a microphone to begin to talk, and he talks in favor of the government. That government, we are doing everything to find out or make sure that those who were killed, we get justice. We are doing everything to make sure that those who were abducted, we are going to, get them back. But you talk about the Chibok girls. Today, this is the same pattern they used. When that happened, they sent delegation that go and, talk publicly, and the rest, before you know the next thing, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, those girls are still in the forest. I hope it will not be a serious thing.
But Barrister Adams, as we move on, yes. Do we see a replay of the 2014 issue where the Chibok girls were politically abducted, according to some people.
I have raised this matter in several forums I've been, articles I've written. Number one is this, that the eve of every election, maybe 2 years for an election in Oseko in Nigeria, you see this upsurge in banditry, terrorism. The Jonathan administration, it happened. In the Buhari, whatever, it happened, I don't know, but because their man was in power, I'm sorry, open and close. Their man was in power, the man who supported them openly, there was a temperate arrangement that the activities were not that in the full swing. But during the Jonathan period, 2 years to an election in Oseko, banditry, terrorism, the same that is happening now. So when somebody somewhere is orchestrating all these things happening, and the government is complicit and doing nothing about it, this is the problem I'm having.
All right. Then.
You know, Tinubu is doing nothing about the issue of insecurity in Nigeria.
All right.
And we have to go beyond that.
Well, you're not the only one that shares that opinion. Some of the congressmen in the U.S. also share that opinion. But the presidency will speak differently. Well, we have joining us right now via telephone, we have Reverend Ezekiel Dachumo, the Nigerian Reverend Christian pastor, activist, a human rights activist, and preacher in Plateau State. Good morning to you, Reverend. Good to have you on the conversation. Let's establish communication with you. Can you hear me? Well, you might need to unmute if your microphone has been muted. You might need to unmute so we can get your feedback.
All right, while we wait for that to be rectified, Barrister Asim Adams.
Yes.
Good morning, Reverend Dachumo. Good morning, if you can hear us, please. We'd like you to unmute your device if you can hear us. Reverend Ezekiel.
Well, I think we have a communication problem, and we'd like for that to be rectified. So we can take the Reverend's statement on the issues being discussed. But let's stay with Samuel. Samuel, I would like to hear your experience. I understand that you lost loved ones in attacks in Taraba. What was it like? What happened? Can you take us through the events that led to the attack? What happened? Because sometimes, for a lot of Nigerians, these figures have just become figures on the cover pages of the dailies. You hear 20 here, 5 here, 100 kidnapped, 200 here. But when you hear testimonies, it becomes more real. It hits really close to home. Tell us, what was it like? What happened?
All right. 3 months back, the Fulani herdsmen started attacking our people. They used to attack them, so we reported to the security.
How are you sure they are Fulani herdsmen? Are you able to prove that they are Fulani herders?
Yes, the Fulani herders, they have their pattern of attacking. They attack at night.
Okay, it's the
and
pattern
they use cutlasses to keep.
Okay.
Yes, they have their pattern of attacking. So people that live in the north can testify to it. They normally use cutlass. They attack at night, most of the times. So when they started attacking us, we reported to the defense headquarters, in fact, everywhere, because we have army barracks in Takum. We went there to report. All our efforts were abortive. These people were showing lackadaisical attitude. So the Fulani herdsmen started attacking us. As the attack was going on, the army were not doing anything. So our people started running away from those villages that the Fulani herdsmen were attacking. To my greatest surprise, the Fulani herdsmen came on Saturday to attack the IDP camp that is in Amadu. So when they came to attack the army base we have in that Amadu, they did not do anything. They were so like
let me understand. Let me get you clearly.
Yes, sir.
Sir, yes. They have driven people from their villages with persistent attacks, and then
Yes.
they came to the
Incessant
IDP camp.
and frequent attacks.
Were you part of those in the IDP camp?
Yes. So in that
Are you
IDP
currently
camp,
in the IDP camp?
No, I'm not currently there. There's no
Okay, but
network there.
were you at the IDP camp at the time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So now, what happened was they came to attack the IDP camp. The army were there, but they did not do anything. They were showing like a dazzling attitude. But thank God for
what was the nature of the attack?
Police,
what was the nature of the attack?
They came at night to attack. In fact, they killed a lot of people. They killed a lot of people on that Saturday evening, Saturday night.
What time
we
was
lost a lot of, sir? Saturday night.
What time? What time?
They came around 10 p.m. Yes.
And the military base there, are you certain that
the military base is there? And the military men did not do anything. But we thank God for the police. It was the police that later chased them away. But before the police could chase them away, they killed people. In fact, I lost 3 of my siblings there. In fact, as I'm speaking, it's just because I'm a man. If not, I wouldn't have had the mind to be speaking here. I supposed to be shaking because I was shocked. The army could not defend us. They were just there watching. And what surprises some of us is during this incessant killing last week, the week before last week, as we're in the IDP camp, the governor passed through Amadu. We're expecting our governor to just have a conversation with us, but he did not. He just
the governor's convoy. The governor's convoy drove
past from Amadu to Takum. Yes, so we're thinking the governor will stop. In fact, people were just expecting our governor, but he refused to stop. He went to Takum, and do you know that none of the politicians, the senator, the state assembly, the House of Reps, the governor, nobody has ever mentioned it in any of the conversations. They are doing as if nothing is happening there. But as I speak to you, we cannot go to a farm because
please tell me again, for clarity purpose, what is the name of the IDP camp, that particular one?
A primary school, Amadu. We have a primary school, Amadu.
Amadu, okay.
Yes.
Now, how have you been able to bury those that have been lost? People that died?
Immediately they were killed. We took them we went and buried them. But there were 3 people that we did not bury. We just put them on the road and we started protesting so that the governor and everybody, Nigerians, will see what is happening to us in Taraba State, particularly in Chanchangi. So we just blocked the road with some of them, like 3 of them. We used them to block the road. But the army came to tell us that we should leave the road, that the road is for government, it's not for us. But the DPO, we thank God for the DPO, he said that we should protest. It is our right to protest.
The DPO told you to protest?
Yes, the DPO told us to protest, that it is our right to protest as Nigerians. But the army
from your explanation,
the police are trying in this scenario. The police they are trying. In fact, the DPO is trying. He came there. He was with us. He gave us go ahead to he was protecting us. That's because the army came. We should leave the road.
Do you know the name of the DPO?
Police said no, leave them to protest.
Do you know the name of the DPO?
You put him in trouble.
I don't actually. I've forgotten his name. I've forgotten his name. But
Samuel, the DPO. What is his ethnicity? Do you know?
The DPO, I think, is from the southeast. She should be from the southeast.
Okay, you think it's from the south? Well, let's. Well, thank you. It's unfortunate you lost family members there and also friends as well. Very unfortunate. And well, I'll come back to you. We will come back to you. Okay. Please stay with us. We're trying to make let's make headway in all of this. Well, we have joining us now Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo. It's an extended conversation. Do bear with us because we need to make sense of it all and probably, hopefully, find a solution to the issues that is bedeviling Nigeria in terms of insecurity. Good morning to you, Reverend Dachomo. I understand it's quite tough to get hold of you because you are, well, we'd like for you to unmute your device so we can hear you. Let's establish communication. Let's get your audio. we seem to be having a problem with the quality of audio coming from your end. Reverend Dachimo, please do help us with, unmuting your device. When you do that, we will be able to hear you, because I understand that you can hear us, but we cannot hear you. Well, if you can hear me, I still can't hear you, but I'm told that they can hear you at the back end. If you can hear me, please, you watched, I expect that you watched the Congress yesterday and how deliberations went. What do you make of the whole deliberation, everything that has been deliberated upon, and the U.S. intending to come? I mean, you have called on the international community to come help. Do you think they will be able to help solve the problem? What do you make of the deliberations held yesterday?
The issue of coming to help, they will make an impact if the Nigerian government gave them the chance of making an impact. But if the Nigerian government did not cooperate with them, they won't impact the way it is.
Okay, have you had threats to your life? Sorry to interrupt you. I know you have quite a lot to say. Have you had threats to your life? Because not too long ago, we hear that the president ordered some military personnel to go protect you to ensure that no harm comes to you. Have there been direct threats to your life?
No, the state government released security men for me.
Okay.
And also the commissioner of police released security men to me. So they are following me anywhere I go.
So you feel protected? Do you feel protected?
I don't feel protected because nothing man can do. God can use people to protect somebody.
Okay.
But my whole soul of trust is God.
All right.
I don't need any protection.
Okay.
Because I don't need any protection with what has happened with the general, General Uba. His enemy wearing Boko Haram, but his enemy, his fellow men within, they are his enemy. They are the one that handed him over to the Boko Haram to kill him, to swap.
All right. Reverend Dachomo, thanks for joining us again. Now, we are discussing the issue of genocide in Nigeria. Like my colleague asked, you must have followed what happened, in the United States of America, the Congress, the debate there. Now, how do you feel? You are in Plateau State, but your sister state, the Benue State. The governor came out yesterday to say, look, there is no Christian genocide in Benue State. How do you feel about that comment? What's your reaction to it?
That's a normal thing. Even the secretary to the SDA, we are chatting. We called me through one of his server's phone, and they connect me to him. What did he say? He said he make blah 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 blah, all sorts of things what Tinubu have done. But I decided to say, sir, let me ask you one question. Do you believe there is genocide? He said no, and they are the same clique with the governor. So what do you expect? That's where their foot is coming. They can say anything, but later, after this government has passed away, they will end up coming to Nigeria and say, please forgive us, we erred. Forgive us. We just said it. This is what is happening to Nigeria. Deliberately, their conscience is so dead. They have lost their saltiness because Jesus said, we are the soul of the earth, and any soul that lost his taste will be marched on. So the Islamic terrorists are marching on them, giving them order what to do and where to go and what to say. So they are saying it to please the insurgent.
Okay. All right.
We know what is happening. Yes?
Go ahead, sir. Land on your thought.
We know what is happening. Because with what is happening in the nation today, it's only a blind man. Even a blind man knows better. Even a deaf can feel that something is moving. Imagine my government disgrace themselves all over the world. Disgrace themselves. I was very bitter. I was sad. I sympathetic with the government. Why will you say that there is killing of Christians, but Muslims are also killed? Then, and so what? Which means you have displayed your incapability. You make yourself stupid before the whole. That you cannot protect life. That is my pain, in which I will never do to them.
Okay,
never
all right.
allow.
All right, Reverend, we understand your pain. We understand your pain. We are trying to be fair to all sides. I would like to ask you, with the killings going on in Benue Plateau in the Middle Belt, do we have a situation where Christians, probably in trying to defend themselves, have also killed Muslims in their numbers? Or situations where we have Christians troop out to say, this Muslim community, like in Jos, you have in Plateau State, you have Muslim communities. Do we have situations where Christians move out to say, okay, we are going to flush out this Muslim community? Do you by chance know if we have one or more situations like that?
In history, even the Fulani terrorists, even Muslims knows, we don't have the mind to go and attack them in the domain. If you see them crying casualties, they came to our domain. In the process of defending the children, the pregnant women, the old men, casualty will come. Then you will discover they will lose their life, some of them. And they drag the corpse back to their base. But we have never moved to go and attack them in their base because we don't have that mind. They are not terrorists, never be terrorists. But since 2001, they have been striking almost all our village. If I can sit down, it's only few villages that we are not attacked by them. But almost all the village we are attacked by them. By machineries that they brought from Mauchi, Maiduguri, and Chad and Niger.
Okay, Reverend.
This is what is happening. Okay. Yes?
Reverend, I saw the video. I mean, we all saw the video where you were pointing at a particular grave, and then you were calling on the international community to come. That there are 27 people buried in that particular grave, and for those that doubt it, you could exhume and then prove that truly corpses are in that grave. We saw that video, and in that same video, you talked about you have ordered the youths in that community to guard the grave. Do you think if you are allowed, or if the youths are allowed to defend themselves, do you think they will be able to?
They will not. That's why many casualties are going. When the heat gets hit, the youth withdraw. They will withdraw, and if these people are strong machinery, even if army security men are running away from them, what have we to do, a common people that we don't have the weapons that they have? That is the question. You are holding, somebody is holding AK-47. And the government knows. And the government hands is tight. Because they infiltrated Boko Haram, repented Boko Haram, have occupied sensitive position in the security, in the government. And they are using the insecurity to win election. The terrorists are being paid to go to certain village and chase the people away. The stubborn one will be killed. Houses will be burned. But at the same time, I will not stop sending their material to that village. What do you expect? Come printing.
We have lost connection to Reverend Ezekiel Dachano there. We've lost audio. He's been speaking to us via WhatsApp call. But we seem to have lost audio there. We'll reconnect to Reverend Ezekiel Dachano. And we're also being informed that in a few minutes we'll be joined virtually by Mr. Omoyele Sowore as we talk about these issues. let me bring you back to the studio. Barrister Asim Adams. Now, in that conference, the Congress, I beg your pardon, the meeting held yesterday, there was a lot to talk about. It's an opportunity for Nigeria, you know, to come to terms with the U.S. Some have said that this might be a lot deeper than we think it is. That could it be because there are issues with Nigeria's neighbors? We have Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, you know, we have issues, and then they are supported by Russia, and then China is also doing business with Nigeria, and Russia and China are not actually friends with America. Could it be that America, you know, has a bigger plan than just rescuing Christians? Could there be something broader than what we think it is?
If I have my way, I would have asked the colonial masters to come and recolonize us. You know why I'm saying this?
To recolonize us.
Just come back and let the British, whoever that wants to come and take over government in Nigeria here. In those days, I knew, or I heard from my own father, how organized Nigeria was before independence and before that 1960. Every life for the Nigerian man was well organized. Now, if America is coming, in fact, they're even wasting time. Honestly speaking, I see Donald Trump as a man of his words. When he made that statement, it sounded like the statement of Martin Luther King that brought about the freedom for the black people in America. So when he gave the speech, I listened and listened to that particular speech over and over and again. I kept enjoying it. And I was expecting Donald Trump to have even come in here to rescue us within 24 hours. He has disappointed me. See, with due respect to him, he has disappointed me. I am not saying he should invade Nigeria, my country, but let him, you know, as he has promised, to wipe out these terrorists and bandits, you know, from the... So I don't know exactly what the people are talking about. China, whoever, Russia. Have we ever gained from China or Russia? Apart from loans and whatever that we take from them?
Have we gained from America?
Yes, we have gained from America. The Tucano jets that were sold to us the other day.
They were sold. Business. Of
course, it was business. America gave those high-flying jets to us to tackle these terrorism, banditry.
And yet you have the clauses attached to the usage of those Tucano jets. Why
those who are saying that America has another motive other than coming to rescue Christians, that is their business. But what we are saying is that this is Christmas period. Many families will not travel to their villages at this point in time because of fear of insecurity.
Okay, I understand that we've reconnected to Reverend Dachomo. Let me pick it up from something you said. Let me ask Reverend Dachomo this question. When we spoke to Sheikh Gumi on the show, I think earlier in the week, he did say, I mean, he reiterated the statement made earlier in another interview that, look, if America comes with the intention of particularly fighting for Christians and a Muslim is killed, Muslims will turn their guns against Christians. And this basically means there will be religious war, breakout in Nigeria. Reverend Dachomo, please, what do you make of that statement? Should we be, what do you make of it? I don't want to guide you.
Let me tell you, that statement comes from fear. They are afraid their business will come to end. So that's the language they will enter, is fear. If America enter, they will stop America from entering, can do something. And American fools, they can dictate him in his bedroom. So what is fear statement? They'll be with the Hausas, that the Boko Haram, who are Fulani, have killed many Hausas people. There's the biggest crack, and he knows. In Islam, constant villages in Zamfara Katsina burned down by Muslims. Internal religion war is ongoing. because Christians were sent away. The early stage, the main aim is to kick good luck out.
Okay.
They created that monsters. Now the monsters cannot see, and they channel it on Christians. With good luck, we are all Christians. They kill many in the north. Let me tell you, around Maiduguri was an area on Sunday, and they will surround the people in the village and burn them alive with gasoline. At the same time, if they will go to another village, they will separate the male and the female. And all the male, they will slaughter them completely.
So when you say it's fear, that is
at the same time, the woman, they will loot the woman and rape them. Every one of them will
Wait, are you talking about something that is
better for him.
Which particular incident are you talking about here? Let's be sure.
Yeah.
You said on
Which
Sunday.
one?
Did this happen on Sunday? The things you're saying.
On Sunday, in Gola area, the
On
people
Sunday.
that were escaped, the women that escaped, they came to our place in Plateau. They gave us testimony how they were, their husband were killed. It's not a news in Nigeria. They are aware, they downplay it, and the press contributed, and God is going to
we are part of the press,
Nigeria.
and we're giving you a voice.
On something.
We're giving you a voice here, so we all can.
No, I'm in pain. I'm in a trauma.
I understand.
I know I've buried more than mass burial, more than 70 times. The blood of innocence. Come and see women that are pregnant. They caught them with swords. Come and see festus flying outside with incense. We have to gather and put it back. And somebody will come out today and say it's not a genocide. That person is a member of a cultic, a bloodsucker. Let me tell you, because of politics is coming, more killing is coming. Because some of the witch doctors have told them they have to bring 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, some 100, depends on the hierarchy. Those that sold their soul to look for charm to succeed in election, how will they do it? Is to sponsor, to speak and sponsor terrorists to go and give them those blood in those villages. We know about it. How many people have repented in my hands, confessed what they have been doing? So we know the game that is going on in the country. Just to please Satan, serving Satan. And if Satan say, I want to suck blood,
okay,
then you will hear Allah Akbar.
Well,
Carry every village.
I think we're talking about two different things.
And they say Allah Akbar, they call people for worship.
Okay.
When Allah wants people to come and worship him, they will say Allah Akbar, and people will come. When he starts of blood, then the same people will be chanting before they start practicing shooting all over the village with guns. They will say Allah Akbar. That's the first time.
Can you hear me?
The first. All of us we are used to will be Allah Akbar in the village. Everybody should look for where to hide.
Thank you very much. Chairman Smith, Ranking Member Jacobs, distinguished members of the committee, I'm honored to share my views before this committee today. Just want to state that CSIS does not take policy positions, so the views represented in this testimony are my own and not those of my employer. In this testimony, I would like to reinforce the recommendations that I made before this committee in March. In addition, I would like to reflect on how this tenuous moment in US-Nigeria relations provide an opportunity for both countries to work together to address the critical threats of jihadist violence and insecurity in Nigeria, and to develop a more strategic partnership. The United States and Nigeria have a complicated bilateral relationship with shared interest in counterterrorism and economic development. But this relationship is often marked by periods of friction. Nigeria wields significant continental and regional influence, but grapples with violent extremism and internal security. Nigeria's leadership in West Africa is crucial, and its ability to address its governance and security challenges will impact not only its future, but the wider region. Nigeria's instability stems from a key shortcoming. Despite 64 years of independence, it has yet to establish a national identity grounded in basic freedoms and dignity. Currently, ethnicity, religion, and language, rather than nationality, define the identity of its diverse population. Understanding the violence in Nigeria requires looking beyond its apparent religious and ethnic motivations. For me, growing up in Jos Plateau State, I've witnessed the impacts of these ongoing conflicts on vibrant communities. In addition, coming from a family involved in Christian missionary work, I recognize the shared faith between Christian communities in Nigeria's Middle Belt and those in the US, rooted in the history of American missionary efforts. However, a narrow narrative that reduces Nigeria's security situation to a single story and frames it solely as the persecution of Christians oversimplifies the issue. Religious and ethnic violence is driven more by governance failures and is worsened by hate speech and conspiracy theories rather than being just a singular conflict. Nigeria is facing multiple security crises due to religious extremism, banditry, criminality, resource competition, communal disputes, and separatist agitation. These issues are intertwined with history, poverty, and political contestation. The interplay between religion and politics in Nigeria is deep and complex. Leaders often romanticize the country's unity, but fail to foster it, as we saw in the divisive 2023 elections. As Nigeria approaches another national election in 2027, religion will once again continue to influence candidate selection, voter behavior, and campaign strategies. The Trump administration's claims that Nigeria is permitting targeted killings of Christians distracts from the broader issue of extremist violence and insecurity in the country. Since returning to civilian rule in 1999, Nigeria has been a major recipient of US security assistance, primarily aimed at counterterrorism. Despite this significant assistance, the extremist threat in Nigeria has worsened, expanding from the northeast, where Boko Haram has waged a 15-year insurgency, to the northwest, where so-called bandits are raiding villages. Most victims in both of these regions are Muslims. Since Boko Haram's emergence in 2009, Nigerian administrations, including the administration of President Tinubu, have struggled to improve security. And many Nigerians across the country acknowledge that the situation has only worsened in recent years. Therefore, narratives focusing solely on the killing of Christians often overlook Nigeria's broader insecurity and the fact that religion is usually a secondary factor in the violence. Recent violence in the Middle Belt predominantly affects Christian farming communities from various ethnic groups. Victims are mostly believed to be killed by Fulani herders who are primarily Muslims. But the killings aren't explicitly motivated by religious reasons. While some community members actually describe the violence in their communities as genocidal, they often emphasize that the underlying causes are ethnic and material, such as land grabs, rather than on religious differences alone. Nevertheless, the high level of insecurity across Nigeria has left many religious communities, including Christians, at risk. The failure to hold the perpetrators of these violent acts accountable has created both a sense of impunity among the attackers and a sense of grievance in the affected communities. Nigerian citizens have mixed reactions to the US redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Many particular Christian groups welcome the attention, seeing it as a chance to push the Nigerian government to act against the violence. However, there are also concerns among many Nigerians, including Christians, that President Trump's threats of military action could also exacerbate existing political tensions. Public opinion surveys overall in Nigeria indicate a public consensus on the seriousness of the security challenges in the country, with many Nigerians valuing their diverse communities and believing in shared national unity over divisions. Now allow me to offer some concrete recommendations. First, to the United States government. It's important to engage deeply and broadly with communities across Nigeria. The US can play a constructive role, but it must avoid selective intervention and address the concerns of all Nigerians across all religions to prevent worsening sectarian divisions. Two, it's important to rethink reactive quick-win actions that may seem beneficial to Nigerians, but could have larger and far-reaching negative impacts. If the Trump administration proceeds with unilateral military action in Nigeria, it could endanger the Christians it aims to protect and worsens divisions along religious lines. Third, prioritize security governance to help tackle the violence. The US should reassess its security cooperation with Nigeria, focusing on building a program that prioritizes security governance and ties military support to tangible reforms. This renewed partnership should extend beyond military aid to include intelligence sharing, rule of law, and governance. 4, support local actors that are advancing inclusive peace and conflict resolution. Supporting moderate religious leaders and community networks in developing early warning systems can shift the focus from identity-based conflict to sustainable solutions. 5, work more with Nigeria's states and its growing city centers. The US government should decentralize its engagement with Nigeria by strengthening dialogue and support for receptive leaders at state and local levels, particularly in the Middle Belt, which is home to about 45 million people. The focus should be on local security to foster a safe environment for agriculture and manufacturing. This approach should integrate economic development with sustainable peace by addressing root causes of the conflict through economic revitalization, institutional reform, and business initiatives. Finally, for the US government, it is important to revive the US Congressional Bipartisan Caucus on Nigeria. The US relationship with Nigeria is a key strategic partnership in Africa. An active bipartisan congressional caucus will highlight this importance, foster discussions, and provide a platform for diverse perspectives to better inform legislative responses on various issues. Now, recommendations for the Nigerian government. It is important to appoint a Nigerian ambassador to the United States to improve its international engagement and manage narratives about its security realities. It's critical for President Tinubu to appoint a capable Nigerian ambassador to the US, as I also recommended in my testimony in March. Second, the Nigerian government needs to make accountability of both perpetrators and of the authorities central to the response. Nigerian citizens need justice, as criminality in the Middle Belt has increased due to impunity. The narrative of Christian genocide has gained traction because of years of mass killings without accountability, leaving many faith communities feeling abandoned. Third, Nigerian government needs to get serious about police reform. Nigeria's single federalized police force struggles to address the country's complex security challenges. The Tinubu administration needs to accelerate initiatives to improve citizen security, including the recruitment of 30,000 new police personnel he approved in June. The military in Nigeria is overextended. Many of them are handling duties that should be handled by the police. And it's essential to think about how the country reassigns police officers that are currently providing personal security to wealthy elites to focus more on the serious crimes. Next, coordinate federal and state action and messaging. Effective coordination so desperately needed among Nigeria's federal and state governments is often undermined by finger pointing, and this must stop. Finally, for the Nigerian government, it's important to start laying the groundwork for peaceful elections in 2027. Nigeria must address the use of religion as a trigger for electoral violence. The new leadership in its election commission presents a chance to restore public trust in the electoral system, promote responsible political behavior, and strengthen security and judicial processes. The violence in Nigeria has resulted in significant loss of life. However, addressing the country's complex security issues solely in religious terms and focusing on one group of victims is counterproductive. A fresh approach is needed both for Nigeria and the United States. Nigeria must tackle its institutional weaknesses in security, justice, and conflict prevention to effectively end the violence and hold perpetrators accountable. The US should engage in open dialogue and cooperation, fostering a better understanding of Nigeria's complexities. Both countries can leverage current diplomatic tensions to strengthen their bilateral relationship and collaboratively address the wider threats of jihadist violence in Nigeria and the surrounding West Africa and Sahel region, as both nations have vital interests at stake. Thank you again for inviting me to testify, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you so very much for your testimony.